Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we'll be comparing the new Hyundai Santa Fe to the new Kia Sorento. Before we get in this video, I'm going to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Murdoch Hyundai here in Linden, Utah for giving some time with this Santa Fe. I'll include a link to the website in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And then on a side note, if you're going to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Powering the Sorento is a turbocharged 2.5-liter four-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic. Power outputs are 281 horsepower and then 311 pound-feet of torque. And powering the Santa Fe is the exact same powertrain, but oddly enough, it has 277 horsepower instead of 281. I don't know where the 4 horsepower went because they're the same powertrain. I mean, you can literally look at the engines and see they are identical with the cars. Also, something to note, we have hood struts, whereas this one has a hood prop. More effort. Anyways, before I move forward, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Now, I think the front end design on both of these is actually pretty cool looking. Something to note, the Sorento does have amber lights, which is a pretty cool detail. The Hyundai just has regular white lights. Here, I'll do the key fob thing. So that's the turn signal, but like on, they're just white. They're not amber like on the Kia. Anyways, you can see there is a little bit of a boxiness difference though. The Kia, it is boxy, especially compared to the previous Sorento, but it's not as boxy as the Santa Fe. So it's interesting to see both of them next to each other, but let me know which design you like most. Now, this isn't a perfect package comparison, so I'm not gonna focus on tire sizes and everything like that. But anyways, what I do want to focus on is the wheel design difference. So notice how with the Kia it's all blacked out. If you get an XRT with the Santa Fe here, it'd also be blacked out. But you can just see kind of the different theme that they're going for with both of them. That's kind of like more of a traditional off-road style. And then this is kind of like Hyundai's thing where they just do a lot of stuff. Anyways, look at the trim here on the side with both of them. Again, kind of goes straight down, whereas this got more of like a rounded flat look, which is weird because it's a boxier vehicle. So it's like to compensate for the slope design on the Kia, they have sharper lines than we have over here on the Hyundai. But anywho, here's the side view on the Kia, and then here's the side view with the Hyundai. When it comes to key fobs, they're both interesting looking. I will say the Hyundai's key fob's a little bit more user-friendly than the Kia's, where everything's kind of little buttons on the side. Now this is where we get another big difference. So you can see with the cargo space here in the Kia, pretty typical for the segment, but notice vertical space just kind of ends because it has that sloped design. Whereas with this having the boxy design, you can see how it keeps going up, so you get a little bit more vertical space, and that continues into the passenger cabin as well. With these rear seats, look at the legroom there, but you get again quite a bit of headroom, whereas over here in the Kia, you can see you lose some headroom. It's not bad, but in the legroom, by the way, it's pretty much identical. But it is noticeable. It is noticeable with the vehicles, so close that. Let me pop over and close this one too. So this one definitely wins with the space. And then here's the rest of the rear of the Santa Fe. Again, that boxy design continues, versus with the Sorento, it kind of looks more similar to the previous gen Sorento with, you know, the traditional SUV kind of sloping. Now inside the second row of the Santa Fe, great space, like the vent there. But notice with the design here, very Range Rover-esque with all the elements. Now again, not perfect comparison with the interior, but again with the seats, you can kind of see that perforated trim and all of that. And then headroom back here, I want to compare with the second row. Now legroom here in the back of the Kia seems pretty similar. And then look at the difference with the door panel design. Right, not as like squared off as what you have. And then headroom, yeah, there is a difference. I'm closer in this one, so interesting. And, ooh, start up with the Hyundai. Again, this kind of boxy door panel design continues with the Hyundai. But look at the steering wheel. This thing is crazy looking. And then we got this big digital gauge cluster, big infotainment system, all of that. But I want to focus on, again, the differences. So look at this control stack here. We do have some screen, but lots of physical buttons at the bottom. And then you can see with the storage here, very interesting with the center console design. There's more storage underneath as well. And this even has like a double glove box. But yeah, you can see, again, I've said this in the past, very Range Rover-esque in terms of the overall look of it. Very just straight up and down with everything. Oh, I almost forgot to mention here the front seats, so you can kind of see the look on this one. This one's an SEL, so again, not a comparable package with that Kia. And starting up the Kia. Ooh, so nice sound here. And look at the door panel design. Steering wheel's kind of cool with the two-tone. I think that's kind of an interesting thing. And then basically similar, I mean, look, it's a little bit different, but similar system. Now this has the weird screen. I am not a fan of this to control the climate and then radio and all of that. And then look how different the center area is. So you don't have any storage underneath. It's just this whole stack. You do still get physical buttons for different controls. And then the center console is more of like a traditional center console with this. Same with the glove box. And I think that's the theme here. It's still a nice interior and everything's just more traditional with all of that. And yeah, these seats are gonna look fancier because this is loaded up. And that's the weird thing. So the off-road package is only available with a loaded up Kia, whereas the off-road package is only available with a base model Hyundai. So it's weird that they do it that way. So you probably noticed how I talked about how the packaging is not really comparable with both the vehicles, and I think that probably was done on purpose to an extent. But if you load both of these up with options, just like the Palisade and like the Telluride, pricing on them is pretty similar. Now let's quickly talk about visibility. Here's visibility with the Hyundai. Yeah, it's definitely going to be different from that perspective too. And the column shifter. That's one of the reasons why the Hyundai is able to have this very spacious floating center console, is because it has a column shifter instead of a traditional shifter like the Kia. And it's interesting that that ends up being the difference between the two. Is this is like a kind of, I would say, more modern layout. When I say more modern, just like a newer take on what a car interior layout can be. Whereas with the Kia, they've gone for more of a traditional layout. What SUVs have looked like inside for, probably like the last 10 years, roughly. And by the way, 2014 was 10 years ago. Just putting that out there. So, yeah, handling's nice. Suspension's good. Seat's comfortable. It drives well. And it's got this, again, it's got that cool boxy feel to it. Like this is, I don't even have a sunroof in this one because this is an SEL. It's not a base model, but it's a lower down package. It's less than 40 grand with this package, whereas that Kia is closer to like 50. But yeah, it feels so open. I think also the light interior helps out with that too. It's having a lighter color. Drive mode's cool with the button. I think they did a good job with that. Pop into the sport mode, get extra aggressive. I don't think we're going to be able to feel the 4 horsepower difference, but we'll see. Zoom, zoom. Gosh, it's quick. That turbo 4-cylinder. Boom. So, to cap things off, I really like the new Santa Fe. I think they did a great job with the design. Yeah, it's got some awkward angles. It's got some awkward angles on the outside, but those awkward angles means you have a really spacious interior that feels open. And again, you're not looking at your car on the outside, right? You're looking at it from the inside as the driver. And from a driver perspective, it's nice. It's really nice in here. So with that being said, let's pop into the Kia and we'll discuss who's the winner. Well, visibility, and yeah, the windows back there are a little bit smaller, so there is a little bit of a difference. It's interesting how much the color of the headliner can change a car. The darker headliner kind of encloses everything a little bit, so a little bit different. But seats, pretty similar in terms of the comfort with them. I would say I don't really have a preference one over the other. So far it feels the same. Transmission and all that. It's weird, just because the hood has more of a like it doesn't have the same boxes, and I feel like I'm driving a completely different car even though it's the same platform. That's so strange. Again, it shows you how much form changes things even though the functionality is the same. Yeah, comfortable suspension. I mean, the suspension feels pretty much identical. Not really noticing a difference there. That's so funny. That's so funny that a hood design on the same exact car. This is kind of eye-opening for me. And something like the drive mode select, and this one it's a dial that you twist. And the animations are a little bit different on the screen, so that's interesting. Yeah, strange how subtle things make it feel like it almost drives different. I mean, it's the same powertrain. It's pretty similar. So to sum things up, here's the deal. If you look at things through the lens of the atheist, is what I'll call it. So you look at it, you reduce everything to just the material, then what you'd come to the conclusion that neither car is better, because they have similar pricing, similar functionality, the drive, right, the suspension comfort, the seat comfort, all of that stuff, right? When you reduce everything, all of that's the same. But if you look at things from a little bit more of a I guess a spiritual perspective with the car, then what you'll see is that the Hyundai wins. And here's what I mean. So obviously we could just say, again, objectively, okay, the roof line, right, having more space, that makes it feel more practical, yada, yada, yada. But the reason why it does is the difference that you get in the Hyundai with the more open feel. It just feels better. It almost feels like this car was designed in a way to basically make everything just work with what SUVs have been doing for the last, like I said, 10 years, whereas the Hyundai is kind of something new. And it almost feels like the Hyundai was designed by someone who actually, like a real human being, sat in the car and then touched everything, was like, okay, this is gonna go here, this is gonna go here. So it feels like it almost has a little more of a human touch, whereas this almost feels like it was just, again, like just logically designed, if that makes sense. So that's a really weird way to end a video, but I can't really explain it other than that when you have two cars that are on the same platform, basically built by the same manufacturer. So let me know if you go Sorento or if you would go Santa Fe, but I just think that the Santa Fe offers just a little bit more.